Before William the Conqueror, before Henry VIII, before the Tudors and the plagues, there was Æthelstan. Not a flat pack from IKEA, Æthelstan was the first true king of England. He unified the squabbling Anglo-Saxon kingdoms into one nation. He's the main event, not a footnote, yet history barely mentions him. Alfred the Great gets the glory, William gets the headlines, but Æthelstan finished the job. He was a military powerhouse, a political genius, and a patron of the arts. So why is he forgotten? Bad luck, bad PR, and a story that's stranger than fiction. We're going back to the 10th century to uncover the real founder of England. This is the tale of the king who forged a nation with a sword in one hand and a law book in the other. He was the first to call himself King of the English, and he earned it. Forget what you thought you knew. The real story of England starts with Æthelstan. Who was the first king of England? Most say William the Conqueror or Alfred the Great.
I am Æthelstan, first king of a united England. Before me the land was divided, but in 927 I brought Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria under one crown.
That is Æthelstan, Alfred's grandson, the man who made England a reality. He conquered York in 927, uniting Wessex, Mercia, East Anglia, and Northumbria. He forced Welsh and Scottish rulers to acknowledge his supremacy. He was the first true monarch of all England. So why is he forgotten? No dramatic succession crisis, no heirs, and his legacy was buried by later chaos. History is about timing and storytellers, not just talent. This series is about giving Æthelstan his due. We'll explore the brutal politics, epic battles, and court culture that defined his reign. It's time to put Æthelstan back at the start of England's story. Æthelstan was born around 894, son of Edward the Elder and grandson of Alfred the Great. From the start, he was marked for greatness. Alfred saw him as the future of the dynasty. In a public ceremony, Alfred gave Æthelstan a scarlet cloak, jeweled belt, and golden sword, a clear sign he was the chosen heir. This made things awkward for Æthelstan's father, Edward, who was still waiting to inherit. Alfred's favoritism set Æthelstan apart, but also painted a target on his back. He was the kid blessed by the legendary king, a status that gave him legitimacy and mystique. But it also meant he'd have to live up to the hype and survive jealous rivals. From the beginning, Æthelstan was a contender in the royal Game of Thrones. His early endorsement shaped the political landscape and made him a player. But it also meant a lifetime of proving himself and dodging the knives of those who thought he'd cut the line. The stage was set for a dramatic rise or a spectacular fall. Æthelstan's mother, Ecgwin, is a mystery. Some say noble, others call her a commoner. Medieval gossip painted her as a low-born fling, undermining Æthelstan's legitimacy. In a world obsessed with bloodlines, this was political dynamite. Rivals whispered he was unfit to rule, the son of a concubine. The truth? Ecgwin was likely noble, just not powerful enough for the court's ambitions. After Alfred's death, Edward set Ecgwin aside for a more connected wife, Alflaed. Æthelstan became the son of a discarded queen, overshadowed by new, legitimate heirs. This family drama created factions and instability at court. Æthelstan learned early, your claim is only as strong as your supporters. His life would be a battle against the shadow of his mother's contested status. With a new queen and half-siblings, Æthelstan was sent away from Wessex, exiled but not punished. He was fostered in Mercia by his aunt Æthelflaed, the formidable Lady of the Mercians. Under her, he learned war, leadership, and politics on the front lines against Vikings and Welsh. Mercia became his power base, and he earned the loyalty of its people. He was seen as one of their own, not just a West Saxon outsider. While his half-brothers schemed in the south, Æthelstan built alliances in the north. He learned that power comes from respect, not just blood. His upbringing taught him to be shrewd, cautious, and independent. The court was a web of alliances and betrayals. He learned to trust no one, especially family. While Æthelflaed taught him to fight Vikings, his family taught him to survive palace intrigue. Æthelstan was ready for the battles, on the field and in the shadows. Royal family dinners at King Edward's court, absolute chaos. With multiple wives and a tangle of stepmothers and half-brothers, Æthelstan faced a royal minefield. The court split into factions, each backing their own queen's son. Æthelstan had to be smarter and tougher than everyone else. His family drama was a brutal training ground for a future king. While Wessex was tangled in court intrigue, young Æthelstan was sent north to Mercia, raised by his formidable aunt, Æthelflaed. There, he learned to lead, fight, and earn loyalty, skills his southern rivals lacked. When Mercia needed a king, They chose Æthelstan, setting the stage for a dramatic struggle for England's crown. So, the year is 924. King Edward the Elder, the guy who spent his whole reign juggling wives, fighting off Vikings, and desperately trying to keep his own family from murdering each other, finally pops his clogs. And honestly, the moment he's gone, the kingdom he duct-taped together just splits right down the middle like a dodgy plate from the market. Succession? Oh, it was nowhere near clean. Forget the classic "the king is dead, long live the king" moment. Instead, it's more like a geographical and political split decision that nearly plunges the whole realm back into civil war. All that careful Anglo-Saxon unity Edward and his dad Alfred had built. Suddenly it's hanging by a thread, all because no one can agree who gets to wear the shiny hat. Up north, the Mercians don't even blink. They'd watched Æthelstan grow up. He's basically their local hero, the heir to their warrior queen Æthelflaed, totally the real deal. Tough as old boots, and definitely one of their own. No interest in any of his southern, Wessex half-brothers with their posh accents. The Mercian bigwigs take one look at the chaos and just go, yep, Æthelstan's our king. For them, it's a no-brainer. He gets their world, the rough life on the front lines with Vikings and unruly neighbours. They back him to the hilt, basically declaring Mercian independence from West Saxon meddling. Meanwhile, down south in Wessex, it's a whole different vibe. The West Saxon nobles, the old guard, the establishment types, they're not buying what Æthelstan's selling. They remember all those whispers about his mum, the shepherd's daughter. To them, he's a Mercian upstart, not a proper Wessex lad. Their pick, Alfred, Æthelstan's half-brother, son of Queen Alflaed, with a spotless pedigree and zero scandal. Safe choice, establishment's favourite. So Wessex throws in for Alfred, and suddenly the kingdom's got two kings, one in the north, one in the south. This is way more than a family spat. It's a constitutional crisis with swords. England split right along the old Mercia-Wessex border. On one side, Æthelstan's got the Mercians and their muscle. On the other, Alfred's got the wealth and tradition of Wessex. Classic north-south divide. Two half-brothers who probably haven't exchanged Christmas cards in years, now staring each other down. The whole fragile idea of England is about to unravel before it's even properly begun. Everyone's just holding their breath, waiting to see who's going to blink first. But just as everyone's bracing for a full-on family civil war, brothers leading armies, blood on the carpet and all that, history decides to throw in a wild plot twist. 16 days. That's how long the standoff lasts. Just 16 days after their dad's death and the kingdom splitting in two, Alfred, the golden boy of Wessex, main obstacle to Æthelstan's ambitions, just drops dead. No one's really sure how or why. Maybe it was a sudden illness, maybe an accident, or maybe, just maybe, someone in Æthelstan's camp knew a guy who knew a guy with some dodgy poison. The chronicles are suspiciously mum on the details. Boom! Just like that, the main rival is out of the game. The West Saxon political machine, which had been revving up to back Alfred, suddenly stalls. Their candidate's dead. You'd think this would be the moment everything falls neatly into place for Æthelstan. His rival's off the board. The throne's just sitting there, right? The Wessex nobles should just sigh, shrug, and say, all right, fine, you win, the crown's yours. But come on, this is medieval politics. Nothing is ever that simple. Instead, Alfred's death just creates a new problem, a massive power vacuum in Wessex. Even with their man gone, the anti-Æthelstan crowd isn't about to roll over. They're still not keen on this Mercian-raised outsider. Winchester, the old capital, and Alfred's stronghold, becomes the centre of resistance. No living candidate to back? No problem. They'll just refuse to accept Æthelstan. It's like their team lost the final, so they've decided to boycott the whole league. The opposition's stubbornness is rooted in years of regional pride and snobbery about Æthelstan's birth. They can't crown a dead man, but they can definitely refuse to crown the one they don't want. So Æthelstan's in this weird limbo, king of Mercia, only serious rival pushing up daisies, the last man standing for the Anglo-Saxon crown. But he's still not king of England. He's got the claim, he's got the momentum, and, thanks to a suspiciously convenient twist of fate, no competition. But the most powerful kingdom in the land is still slamming the door in his face. He's won by default, but the referee's refusing to blow the final whistle. For over a year, Æthelstan's stuck in royal limbo. Mercia's his, but Wessex resists. His coronation keeps getting delayed, nobles plot against him, and every day uncrowned is another day for enemies to scheme. Finally, in September 925, Æthelstan is crowned, king at last, but the real fight is just beginning. Æthelstan gets crowned, but that's just the start. To prove he's king, he holds huge councils, white nagemots across England, making every ruler, even Welsh kings, show up. They sign his charters, acknowledge his power, and in the end, everyone knows. You kiss Æthelstan's ring, or you're out. Æthelstan built an A-team. His court was packed with the sharpest minds, not just warriors. Scholars, poets, and administrators from across Europe flocked to him, making his court the intellectual and cultural hub of Britain. This diverse, multi-ethnic court boosted his prestige, shaped his image as a true Christian king, and made loyalty to him fashionable. Now, if you want to see Æthelstan playing four-dimensional chess while everyone else was playing checkers, look no further than his foreign policy. And his foreign policy basically came down to one thing: his sisters. Æthelstan never married and had no kids, which meant he had no sons to form alliances with, but he had a whole bunch of half-sisters, thanks to his dad's multiple marriages. And in the 10th century, a well-connected royal sister was more valuable than a whole army. Æthelstan turned his family tree into a weapon of international diplomacy, marrying his sisters off to the most powerful rulers in Western Europe, like he was playing civilization on hard mode. This was an unprecedented diplomatic blitz. One sister, Eadgifu, married Charles the Simple, the king of West Francia, what would become France. Another sister, Eadhild, married Hugh the Great, the Duke of the Franks and the most powerful man in Francia. When Eadgifu's husband was overthrown, she and her son Louis fled to Æthelstan's court for protection. Æthelstan basically sheltered the future king of France for years, massively increasing his own influence across the Channel. He wasn't just some isolated island king anymore. He was a major player in continental politics, the powerful uncle everyone had to respect. But he didn't stop there. Another sister, Eadgyth, was sent to marry Otto, the son of the German king Henry the Fowler. This was a huge deal. Otto would later become the Holy Roman Emperor, the most powerful ruler in Christendom. The story goes that Otto was offered the choice between Eadgyth and her sister, and he chose Eadgyth. This marriage linked the new, up-and-coming Kingdom of England directly to the heart of European power. Suddenly, the English royal house was on par with the oldest and most prestigious dynasties on the continent. Æthelstan was using his family to build a network of alliances that stretched from Paris to Saxony. This strategy was pure genius. These marriages brought immense prestige and security to Æthelstan's fledgling kingdom. They created a web of powerful brothers-in-law who had a vested interest in his success. It flooded his court with exotic gifts, foreign customs, and diplomatic contacts, further enhancing its reputation as a major European centre. He transformed England from a remote Viking-battered island on the edge of the world into a respected and well-connected European power. He didn't just build a kingdom, he put it on the international map, and he did it all without fighting a single foreign war, using his sisters as the ultimate royal swag. Æthelstan had the crown, the smartest court, and his sisters ran Europe's royal households. But one piece was missing: Viking York, the last great stronghold in the north. In 927, Æthelstan marched north, drove out the Vikings, and took York, uniting all the old kingdoms under one English crown. For the first time, England was truly born. Æthelstan was now king of the whole of Britain. After conquering York, Æthelstan declared himself king of all Britain, but he wanted more, so he summoned the northern kings to Aymont Bridge, backed by his army, and made them swear loyalty. Scotland became a client state, until years later Constantine rebelled. Æthelstan responded with a massive invasion, burning and looting to remind everyone who was in charge. Æthelstan's 934 invasion of Scotland was pure dominance, shock and awe, 10th century style. He crushed Constantine, forcing him to submit, but this humiliation only fueled a burning desire for revenge. The Beatdown united Æthelstan's enemies, setting the stage for the greatest alliance Britain had ever seen. By 937, Æthelstan's enemies united, Scots, Vikings, and Britons, forming a powerful alliance to destroy his kingdom. This was more than a battle, it was an existential threat to England itself. Æthelstan faced his greatest test, his life's work and England's future hung in the balance. The Battle of Brunanburh was the bloodiest day in British history. A brutal day-long clash where Æthelstan's English army crushed a grand coalition of Vikings and Scots. The field ran red with blood, leaders fell, and England's future was secured in a single decisive victory. After his epic victory, King Æthelstan never married or had kids. Instead, he dove into quirky hobbies, collecting holy relics and making laws. He became a superfan of saintly artifacts, turning his court into a pilgrimage hotspot. Obsessed with order, he wrote more laws than any king of his time. Æthelstan, Bachelor, relic collector, lawmaker, and the mastermind behind a united England. Æthelstan died at the height of his power, buried in Malmesbury Abbey, a final nod to his own path. Chaos followed, but his idea endured. He created the idea of England, institutions, laws, and unity. The blueprint was unbreakable, and his legacy survived the storm. After all the battles and drama, Æthelstan stands as the first real king of England, criminally overlooked, but the true founder. He united warring kingdoms into one, forged the idea of England, and built a legacy that lasted 1,000 years. So next time, remember the name Æthelstan, the original king.